Okay. So now I'm going to take you through calculations related to a percentage. So without wasting much of our precious time, let's get started with this type of calculation that is related to a percentage. I've got some questions there that I would like for us to go through, where at first you are required to find 20% of 250. Trust me when I say it is not supposed to be a complicated question, because the first thing that you need to be aware of is that when we talk about a percentage, in short, it is something which is out of 100. That's how you calculate a percentage. So the out of 100 would therefore mean whatever out of 100. So whatever that you are given, you work it out to convert it to a percentage, whereby whatever that is out of 100, it is the same as this. Maybe let me start doing the calculations, because that's when it may make some sense. So when they say find 20% of 250, for me, a percentage means out of 100. So that would mean it is 20 out of 100 of what? Of 250. So you punch this on your calculator. That's how you know what is 20% of 250. So you will say 20 percentage means out of 100 of that 250. And the answer that you get is 50, which means 20% of 250 is 50. That's how easy it is, that type of a question. Maybe let me not scroll down and remove that one so that the questions will remain. So, okay, this is the one that is done. Let's jump on to the next one. This might definitely not be a lengthy lesson, because calculations related to a percentage, especially for this part of the introduction, it's not that much complicated. It is a straightforward question where you just deal with it without any problems. You can see the statements are not that big. So what percentage is 18 out of 60? What percentage is 18 out of 60? Okay, so now in this case, you can see they are saying 18. Remember, the out of, it would therefore mean you divide by that number, which will therefore be that ratio. And then for you to convert it to a percentage, you will therefore need to multiply it by 100. And then the answer that you get, it will be this over that as a percentage, or in a form of a percentage, which means on your calculator, you will therefore say 18 divided by 60, that you multiplied by 100, and it gives you 30, but that 30, remember to say 30%. So that is exactly how you would work it out. What percentage is 18 out of that? So if you say 18 out of that, you just multiply it by 100, and that's how you convert it to a percentage. Okay, that also is a done deal. Let's move on to another one. I will definitely give you enough problems to practice so that you gain confidence in calculating a percentage. Okay, another type of a question, for example, they would say a phone costs 2,000 rands. Okay, then they say the price increases by 10%. That means you will need to pay 10% more. Okay, this one, it is supposed to be find the new price. Yes, find the new price. Definitely, it will have to be a bit more because you are adding an extra of 10%. So if we try to visualize what is actually happening there, what we know is that this phone, it costs 2,000. So to get to the new price, it must be an addition of an extra 10% from that 2,000. Yes, that should be the new price. So in other words, we are simply saying, okay, it is 2,000 plus 10% of that 2,000. So that's how you would calculate the new price, which means if we want to go step by step, let's firstly find out what is 10% of that 2,000. So 10% of 2,000, 10 percentage means out of 100 of that 2,000 rands, which will therefore be equals to, you punch it on a calculator and say 10%, the of just means you multiply by that, and it gives you 200 rands. So it therefore means the new price will therefore be equals to that price that is being increased by 10%. Then it should be 2,200 rands. So that would be the new price where that 2,000 has been increased by 10%. Okay, I think that makes sense. I'll just make a tick on that one and say we have dealt with it decisively. And now, okay, so now it's fine. Just going to remove all of these. And then after removing all of these, let's see. Do I still need to remove? Yes. I just want to remove everything just so that at least just remove all of these so that at least I know that, okay. Okay, then it's fine. Let's move on to problem number 4, where they say a jacket costs 800. Okay, a jacket costs 800. So it is discounted by 25%. Find the new price. Okay, but it looks like we're just doing the opposite of what we did, because obviously a product can be increased or decreased. If it's increased, then we know we add with an extra. But when they talk about a discount, it's simply a decrease by a certain percentage. So in other words, if we have to calculate the sale price, it means it will be that cost, the original cost being 800, and we will reduce it by 25% of that 800. So we are just doing the opposite of what we did, and we can still go with the same approach and say, actually, what is 25% of 800? Obviously, because percentage means out of 100, then the of means multiply. You will therefore multiply it by that, and then let's see what we get. Okay, so we'll say 25 out of 100, where we multiply that 800, we get 200 rands. So it therefore means that the sale price will therefore be equals to that 800 rands, where we minus 200 rands, and then we end up paying 600 rands. And that should be the end of it. Okay, I think that also makes sense. I wanted to make a tick there. Okay, then it's fine. Then now I'll just remove all of these. Okay, let me just do it that way. Okay, I'll remove all of this, and then from there we continue. So just don't worry that much about having to write some writing and all of that. I'm definitely going to give you a lot of questions to go through where you need to deal with these problems safely. Okay, let's jump on to the. Okay, so another thing, after a 25% discount, a pair of shoes costs 450. Now they say find out the original price. Okay. Then already we have an understanding that the original price must be more, because it is after a discount of 25%, whereby the cost was 450. So that means we have paid less by 25%. So now what is the original price? The original price should be more. So I'm just saying, as we do the calculations, we should expect to find a value which is more than that 450. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so how do we do that? The best approach is to always talk about how much you have spent and what is the percentage spent. For example, if you have spent that 450, what is the percentage that you have spent? It will definitely be 75. So in other words, it's like you have spent 75% in buying that pair of shoes. That is the first part of it, to say you have spent 75%. 75%, where does it? 75% comes from you knowing that 100%, maybe let me not write it there because it actually interacts with that image. But otherwise, it comes from you saying 100% minus 25%. That means you have spent 75% because the 25% was a discount. The reason why you want to know these two important parts is because you want to work out 1%. You just want to know actually how much is 1%. Then for you to work out the 1%, you will therefore take that, what is it? 450 rands, and then you will divide it by that 75%. The answer that you get, it means, let's see, 450 divided by 75, it gives you 6 rands. That's what you get. So that means 1% is equivalent to 6 rands. Then for you to get 100%, you just multiply it by 100. So that means you will just have to take that 6, then you multiply it by 100. The answer that you get, which will definitely be 600, it means it is the original price. It all comes down to you working out how much did you spend and what is it in a form of a percentage that you have spent. Then you just take that, you divide it by that, and then whatever that you got there, you just multiply it by 100, it will give you the original price. And you can see that value, it's more than that. It has to be more than that because this is a discounted price. I hope that part makes sense, and I would like to say we have dealt with that decisively. Okay. What else? I think this should be the end of it. Yes, I'm thinking that this should be the end of it. Okay, for that reason, it's fine. I will just leave it there and say until we meet again. I hope this thing is not going to jam because it likes jamming